The scream tore through the one-bedroom apartment like glass, and Maya Brooks said, "Noah, hold on to me." The hall clock blinked 10:14 p.m., and winter rain ticked the window like impatient fingers. Ethan Cole's jaw was stone as he ripped his coat from the peg, and he said, "You did this." The door shook when he slammed it, and the sound carried the weight of a verdict. Sirens thinned the night beyond the thin walls, and the building seemed to hold its breath. Noah Brooks trembled in Maya's arms and she said, "I've got you, baby." Her throat burned with words she could not afford to say, and terror tasted like pennies. She saw the unpaid bills on the table, each one a quiet witness. The crib mobile in the corner spun from the draft, casting soft moons on peeling paint. Maya's phone flashed with missed calls from a friend she no longer trusted. "I will not lose you," Maya said, and the vow steadied her shaking hands. She pressed her cheek to Noah's hair, counting heartbeats. She listened to the sirens dim, and a new silence took their place. In that silence, she knew the fight had already begun. The apartment seemed smaller in the quiet, and Maya Brooks said, "We breathe together, okay?" Noah Brooks nodded against her collarbone, warm and shaking. She pictured the first night she brought him home, and felt the room lean. The sirens were gone, replaced by the faint scrape of a neighbor's chair. On the table, the custody letter waited like a blade, and she said, "He will not take you." Her mind chased numbers, rent and groceries and lawyer fees, each total a fresh bruise. She remembered Ethan Cole's easy laugh before it turned brittle, and she wondered when it changed. The phone buzzed again with Jenna Park's name, and her gut twisted at the thought of secrets. "I will find the truth," Maya said, and the words steadied her breath. Noah whispered, "Mom, are we safe?" And she answered, "Yes, baby, I promise." She knew promises were fragile, yet she made them anyway. Outside, rain softened the street into silver ribbons. Inside, she folded fear into resolve, and the night held. Morning crept in gray, and the apartment smelled like coffee and damp wool. Maya Brooks packed a school bag with robotic calm, and she said, "Breakfast first." Noah Brooks poked cereal with a spoon like it might bite. The door held a faint dent where it had slammed, and it stared back like a bruise. "We are doing this one step at a time," Maya said, and she smoothed Noah's hair. A police siren wailed far away, thin as thread, and the city yawned awake. She glanced at her cracked phone and opened a new note, labeled lawyer. The numbers lined up like cliffs, and her stomach dipped. Jenna Park's text sat unread, bright and accusatory. "Later," Maya said to the phone, and she poured more coffee. "Noah said, 'Do I have to see Dad today?' And she answered, 'Not today.'" The rain paused, revealing a sky the color of old tin. She set her jaw, pulled on her coat, and chose forward. The bus stop smelled like wet concrete and old newsprint, and Maya Brooks said, "We will keep to the plan." She held Noah Brooks' hand while buses hissed by in gray exhalations. A billboard smiled down with perfect teeth that felt like a lie. The city was a chorus of horns and distant clatter, and her nerves answered in kind. She checked the time, counted the minutes to school and said, "You are brave." Noah flicked water off his sleeve and said, "Like astronauts." She smiled despite the knot in her chest. Across the street, a black sedan idled, and a lens glinted, or maybe she only imagined it. "Not today," she whispered to fear, and she stepped closer to Noah. The bus arrived with brakes that squealed like a warning. She lifted him on, kissed his hair and said, "See you at 3. The doors folded shut on her reflection, and the day loomed. Work smelled like toner and burnt coffee, and fluorescent lights flattened the world. Maya Brooks signed in at the front desk and said, "Morning." The receptionist nodded with pity she could not bear. Cubicles rose like pale hedges, and screens hummed with unread emails. Her manager's door was shut, and that felt like a storm cloud. She sat and opened the file marked payroll variants, and numbers marched across the screen. The phone vibrated with a text from Ethan Cole that read, "We will revisit custody," and her pulse thudded. "You will not take him," Maya said under her breath. She typed with the accuracy of survival, and time dragged like wet rope. Jenna Park's message blinked. "We need to talk about Ethan," and her throat went dry. "I am listening later," she said to the empty air. She saved the file, steadied her shoulders, and prepared to ask HR for a lawyer referral. The week began with exhaustion, and Maya Brooks said, "We push forward anyway." The subway hummed beneath her feet, its rattle masking the thoughts she did not want to hear. Noah Brooks clutched his backpack, tired eyes half shut. "We'll get through this," Maya whispered, brushing his hair back. The air smelled of damp metal, and too many bodies pressed together. She remembered nights when the train was her escape from Ethan Cole's temper, and her chest tightened. An older man offered Noah a seat, and she said, "Say thank you," watching politeness bloom even in fear. At the next stop, Maya saw Jenna Park on the platform, phone pressed close, expression tense. Their eyes met for a flash before the crowd pulled them apart. Later Maya murmured, though doubt threaded her voice. She thought of the bills stacked at home, and the lawyer's retainer she could not yet pay. The train groaned into darkness, and she tightened her grip on Noah's small hand. In that dark tunnel, she chose resolve again. The office air pressed heavy, and Maya Brooks said, "One more hour." She typed numbers with aching wrists, her eyes burning from the glare. Her manager, Carl Bennett, tapped the glass of his office before vanishing inside, and she swallowed the message. He was watching. The spreadsheet felt endless, debts marching into infinity. A coworker asked, "Are you okay?" and she forced a smile. "Yes, just busy." Her phone buzzed with a message from Jenna Park. "We need to talk about Ethan." She deleted it unread, heart slamming. The copy machine jammed again, paper crumpling like her patience. Maya muttered, "Of course," and yanked the drawer open. Her reflection in the glossy black plastic startled her, eyes darker than she remembered. The clock's red digits bled into the cubicle walls, a countdown she could not beat. When the day finally bled into night, she whispered, "Go home, get Noah," a mantra against collapse. The fight was bigger than her exhaustion. Night at home hummed with the sound of a leaking faucet, and Maya Brooks said, "Homework first, then bed." Noah Brooks scribbled half-heartedly, pencil tapping. She folded another overdue notice into the drawer, hiding it from his eyes. "We're okay," she whispered, though her throat knew the lie. Outside, rain blurred the city, washing neon into streaks. She thought of Jenna Park's silence tonight, absence louder than words. "Can I have another story?" Noah asked, and she smiled. "Of course, astronaut." She read with her voice steady, though her heart cracked on each word. The apartment's radiator hissed like an old secret trying to escape. She tucked Noah in, kissed his forehead, and lingered. The photo of happier days with Ethan sat face down on the shelf, frame dusty. "We'll write a new ending," she promised in the dark. Faucet's drip carried into the night, a metronome counting her fears, her breaths, her vows. The school hallway buzzed with laughter, but Maya Brooks heard only the echo of her own steps. She said, "Be brave," and Noah Brooks ran ahead, backpack bouncing. His smile faded when Ethan Cole appeared at the far end, leaning casual but sharp-eyed. "You can't avoid me," he said, voice steady but heavy with threat. Maya's pulse spiked, and she answered, "This isn't the place." Teachers passed, their chatter covering nothing. Noah froze mid-step, eyes darting between them. Ethan's smirk twisted and he said, "Custody will be mine." Maya's grip on the strap of her bag whitened. "Not while I breathe," she whispered. The bell shrieked, saving her from reply. Students flooded the hall, a river pushing them apart. She called, "Noah, go inside," and he obeyed with wide eyes. Ethan's voice cut through once more, "This isn't over." The crowd swallowed him, leaving only his shadow burned into her resolve. The diner smelled of coffee and grease, and Maya Brooks stirred tea she would not drink. Jenna Park slid into the booth, eyes sharp. "You've been avoiding me," Jenna said. Maya answered, I don't have time for games. The jukebox hummed softly, masking their words. Jenna leaned close. Ethan has friends in places you don't. Maya froze, the spoon clinking against porcelain. Tell me everything, she said, voice steel. Jenna hesitated, guilt spilling in her silence. Outside, rain slicked the streets, neon buzzing against wet glass. He's not fighting fair, Jenna admitted, and I helped without meaning to. Maya's chest caved, but she forced calm. Why? She asked, low and dangerous. Jenna whispered, he threatened me. Maya gripped the table edge, knuckles bloodless. You should have told me, she said. The waitress passed, refilling cups with false cheer. The tea cooled between them, but the truth burned hotter than fire. The courtroom smelled faintly of dust and cold polish. And Maya Brooks said, stay calm. It's only the hearing. Noah Brooks clutched her sleeve, eyes wide. Ethan Cole sat across the aisle, his lawyer whispering, we'll crush her. Maya's stomach turned, but she straightened her back. The judge's gavel cracked, echoing like a gunshot. This is about Noah, Maya whispered, more to herself than anyone. The clerk read charges, and each word carved at her ribs. Ethan smirked, leaning back, confident as ever. Maya's lawyer, Margaret Lee, shuffled papers, lips pressed thin. We'll fight, Maya said under her breath, willing the strength into existence. She watched Noah's reflection in her water glass, and felt resolve grow sharper. Ethan's glance burned holes in her, but she met it without blinking. This is my child, she whispered. The hum of fluorescent lights above sounded like judgment. The hearing had only begun, but Maya knew the war was underway. The break room's stale coffee reeked of burnt filters, and Maya Brooks said, they think they can scare me. Margaret Lee spread documents across the table, voice even, we need proof of his neglect. Maya nodded, though her chest ached. Jenna Park slipped in quietly, eyes down. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. Maya's jaw tightened. Then why come? She asked. Jenna's hands shook as she slid an envelope across the table. Because Ethan isn't playing fair. Maya opened it, breath stuttering at the photos inside. Ethan drunk, Ethan shouting at Noah, Ethan's hand raised mid-swing. Maya whispered, you should have told me sooner. Jenna said, I was afraid. Margaret's voice cut in. This is gold, we use it carefully. Maya's hands trembled, but resolve glinted in her eyes. He won't win, she said, firm. The vending machine hummed, the room cold, yet fire burned inside her. Night cloaked the city in neon reflections, and Maya Brooks said, we hold on to truth. She sat at her small kitchen table, documents spread like battle plans. Noah Brooks slept in the next room, his soft breathing a metronome of hope. The photos Jenna gave her sat heavy in her hand, proof of Ethan Cole's violence. He thinks charm covers sins, she muttered, circling dates on a calendar. Bills leaned against the salt shaker, reminders of other battles. The radiator hissed, and her shadow stretched long. She whispered, I will not break. Her phone lit with Ethan's message, you can't hide forever. She deleted it with steady fingers. From the window, the city looked endless, but her gaze sharpened to one point, Noah's closed door. He's my reason, she said. Her reflection in the glass stared back, tired yet fierce. The night was long, but so was her will. The schoolyard smelled of wet grass, and Noah Brooks said, do I have to see him today? Maya Brooks knelt, adjusting his jacket, and said, not today, astronaut. Across the fence, Ethan Cole stood watching, phone pressed to his ear. His eyes met hers, cold and triumphant. Maya whispered, stay away from him. A teacher waved Noah inside, and he hesitated before obeying. Mom, promise, he said, and she answered, always. Ethan's smirk widened as he walked closer. You're making this worse, he murmured. Maya replied, I'm protecting him. Rain spattered between them, a curtain of defiance. Ethan leaned closer, voice low, I'll bury you in court. Maya's pulse spiked, but she said, I'll fight to the end. A whistle blew from the playground, breaking the moment. Ethan turned, disappearing into the street. Maya stayed rooted, fierce and unshaken, though her hands trembled unseen. The lawyer's office smelled of leather and paper, and Margaret Lee said, "We can win, but it will break you first." Maya Brooks sat stiff, hands folded, whispering, "He's already broken me once." Noah Brooks doodled rockets in the corner chair, humming quietly. Margaret spread the photos across her desk, arranging them like weapons. "This is strong evidence," she said, "but Ethan has money." Maya clenched her jaw. "I have truth." Margaret looked up. Steady. "Truth doesn't always win in court." Maya's chest ached, but her eyes hardened. "It will this time." Noah looked up, voice small. "Mom, are we okay?" Maya smiled for him, fragile but real, and said, "We're unbreakable." Margaret closed the file, leaning back. "Then, we fight." Outside, city traffic blurred against the window, relentless and uncaring. Inside, resolve anchored itself in silence, ready for the storm ahead. The apartment walls felt tighter than ever, and Maya Brooks whispered, "I can't breathe in here." Noah Brooks sat cross-legged on the rug, coloring rockets with broken crayons. The silence between them carried weight heavier than words. Ethan Cole's threats replayed in her mind like sharp echoes. The photo of him with Noah at the park years ago stared back, mocking her resolve. Maya pressed the frame face down and muttered, "You don't own us anymore." A knock rattled the door, and her chest froze. She held Noah's hand, whispering, "Stay behind me." But it was only Jenna Park, pale and trembling. "He's pushing harder," Jenna said, voice frayed. Maya glared, "And you let him." Jenna's eyes shone with guilt. "I tried to stop it." Maya's body shook, torn between rage and grief. She whispered, "I don't know who to trust anymore." The room was dim, the storm outside thundering, and inside her, the storm was worse. The diner was nearly empty, neon buzzing against rain-smeared glass, and Maya Brooks said, "Why are you really helping me?" Jenna Park stirred her untouched coffee, eyes darting. "Because I owe you the truth." Maya leaned forward, voice sharp, "Then speak it." Jenna's words tumbled. "He has someone inside social services. He's paying for influence." Maya's stomach sank like stone. "That's why the report's twisted," she whispered. Jenna nodded, ashamed. "I thought staying quiet would protect me." Maya's voice cracked, and it almost destroyed us. The waitress topped their mugs, the small clink absurd against such betrayal. Maya gripped the table edge, whispering, "You've tied me to fire." Jenna's tears blurred the neon reflection. "I'm sorry," she said. Maya's jaw tightened, resolve carving her grief into steel. "Sorry won't protect Noah," she answered. The rain outside hammered harder, as if echoing the fight building inside her. The school office smelled of pencil shavings and antiseptic, and Maya Brooks said, "I want answers." The principal raised calm hands. "Reports don't lie." Maya slammed papers onto the desk. But they were altered. Behind her, Ethan Cole leaned in the doorway, smirking. "Still chasing ghosts, Maya," he said. Noah Brooks sat in the hall, knees tucked, too small for the weight in his eyes. Maya's fists trembled, but her voice did not. "You will not gaslight me." Ethan shrugged, smug as a victor. The principal frowned. "These are serious accusations." Maya's lawyer, Margaret Lee, appeared, steady as stone. "So let's treat them seriously," she said. Ethan's smile faltered for a flicker, and Maya saw it. She whispered, "Your lies won't win forever." Noah peered in, whispering, "Mom." She met his gaze and said, "I'm not backing down." The walls hummed with fluorescent light, sharp as the tension strangling the room. The rain had stopped, but the street still glistened, and Maya Brooks said, "I don't know how much longer I can do this." Margaret Lee walked beside her, briefcase in hand. "You've already done more than most." Maya exhaled, watching steam rise from sewer grates. "But what if it's not enough?" Margaret glanced over, firm. You fight because he's your son. That's enough. Maya's shoulders sagged and she whispered, I'm tired of being strong. Margaret paused, placing a hand on her arm. Then let me be strong for you tonight. The street lamp flickered above, casting them in fractured gold. A taxi whooshed by, spraying their coats, but Maya barely flinched. He'll destroy everything, she said. Margaret's voice steadied, not if we destroy his lies first. Maya met her friend's gaze, a glimmer of hope breaking through fatigue. The night held quiet, but war drums beat in her chest. The apartment lights flickered once, then steadied, and Maya Brooks whispered, Everything is fragile. Noah Brooks slept curled tight, small hand clutching a toy rocket. She sat beside him, brushing his hair back, murmuring, I'll keep you safe. Outside, thunder rumbled low, a reminder the storm was not over. Ethan Cole's threats replayed, cutting like glass. She opened her notebook, pages filled with messy notes, numbers, and dates. I can't lose track now, she whispered. A knock startled her, soft but sharp. She froze, listening. Another knock, then silence. She held her breath until minutes passed and the clock ticked on. Finally, she exhaled, resting her forehead against Noah's door. He won't scare me into silence, she whispered. She stood in the dim glow of the lamp, shoulders trembling but spine straight. The night carried weight, but her promise carried more. We'll endure, she vowed to the dark. The knock at the door came late, heavy with hesitation, and Maya Brooks whispered, Not tonight. Noah Brooks stirred in his sleep, clutching his rocket tight. She opened the door to find a stranger's face half hidden in the hall shadows. He stepped into the light, and her breath caught. Uncle Daniel, she whispered, recognizing the man she hadn't seen in 15 years. Daniel Brooks said, I couldn't stay away this time. His hair was streaked with gray eyes burdened by years of absence. Maya's body trembled with rage and hope. Why now? She asked, voice sharp. He answered, Because Ethan isn't the only one who knows how to fight dirty. Her chest tightened. You abandoned us. Daniel looked at Noah's photo on the wall and whispered, Not anymore. For the first time, Maya saw not just an intruder, but a possible ally. Still, trust tasted bitter, and she whispered, Prove it. The kitchen smelled of stale coffee, and Maya Brooks said, You don't get to walk back in like nothing happened. Daniel Brooks sat across the table, weathered hands folded. I know what I did. I left you and your mother. I can't undo that. Maya's voice cracked. You broke us. He nodded, shame etched in his lines. I'm here because Ethan is dangerous and I have proof. He slid a battered folder across the table. Maya opened it with shaking hands, eyes scanning names and transactions. He paid off more than just social services, Daniel said. Her stomach lurched. Why should I believe you? She asked. He whispered, Because I've been watching, waiting to make it right. Noah patted in, rubbing his eyes. Mom, who's he? Maya said softly, Family, maybe. Noah blinked, confused. Maya clenched the folder tighter, whispering to herself, If this is real, everything changes. The alley behind the courthouse reeked of damp brick and cigarettes, and Daniel Brooks said, He meets his contact here every Thursday. Maya Brooks followed, her coat pulled tight, heart racing. The night was sharp with tension. Daniel pointed to a shadowy figure exchanging an envelope with Ethan Cole. Maya's breath caught. He really did it, she whispered. Ethan laughed, shaking the man's hand, his arrogance exposed in the dim streetlight. Daniel said, Now you see why I came back. Maya gritted her teeth. This could bury him in court. Daniel nodded. But only if you're strong enough to use it. Maya's pulse pounded, fury mixing with dread. I've been strong my whole life, she whispered. Ethan walked away, never seeing their eyes on him. Maya turned to Daniel. If you're lying, I'll never forgive you. Daniel met her stare. Steady. Then don't forgive me, just win. The diner booth was their war room, and Maya Brooks whispered, This evidence could turn everything. Margaret Lee scanned the documents, lips tight. It's strong, but Daniel's past will be used against you. Daniel Brooks leaned forward. Let them. I'm not here to save myself. Maya glared. But you expect me to trust you. Daniel lowered his voice. I expect you to trust what's in those papers. Jenna Park arrived late, sliding into the booth, eyes full of regret. If he's with us, I'm in too, she said. Maya's chest heaved. The same Jenna who betrayed me. Jenna whispered, I want to make it right. Margaret exhaled. We have the makings of a case, but it will tear us apart before it saves us. Maya pressed her palms to the table, whispering, then let it. I'd rather break fighting than live bent. The booth felt like the center of the storm. The apartment was silent when Maya Brooks whispered, this is bigger than me now. Noah Brooks slept soundly, his rocket clutched tight, unaware of the storm outside his door. Daniel Brooks stood in the doorway, silent guardian. Maya stared out the window, city lights glowing like promises and lies. I can't forgive you yet, she said softly. Daniel's voice was low, steady. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance to help. Maya's reflection in the glass was pale, but her eyes burned. I'll use what you've given me, she said. But if you betray us again, you'll lose us forever. Daniel nodded, eyes heavy. Then I'll fight until I'm empty. She turned back to Noah's door, placing her hand there like a shield. Everything changes now, she whispered. For the first time in weeks, she felt not just fear, but the thinnest edge of hope. The courtroom air was thick with tension, and Maya Brooks whispered, this is it. Noah Brooks sat with a counselor nearby, wide-eyed and silent. Ethan Cole leaned back smug, his lawyer whispering strategies. Margaret Lee steadied her papers, whispering, stay strong. Daniel Brooks sat in the gallery, a shadow of loyalty and regret. Maya's heart pounded, but her face was stone. The judge entered, gavel cracking like thunder. We're here for custody of Noah Brooks, the clerk announced. Ethan's smirk widened, but Maya lifted her chin. This is about Noah, she whispered. Every sound, the shuffle of papers, the cough from the gallery, seemed magnified. Ethan's lawyer stood tall, voice slick. The mother is unstable, financially incapable. Maya's nails dug into her palms, but she whispered, he's lying. The judge's gaze cut sharp, weighing each word. In that moment, Maya's resolve crystallized into steel. The lawyer's voice rang sharp, she can't provide stability. Maya Brooks' pulse hammered, but Margaret Lee stood, voice steady. We have evidence. She laid photos on the judge's desk. Ethan Cole drunk, Ethan shouting, Ethan's hand raised. The courtroom murmured, tension spiking. Ethan flushed, shifting in his seat. Objection, his lawyer barked, but the judge leaned closer. Maya whispered, truth always shows. Daniel Brooks clenched the railing, jaw tight. The judge studied the photos, expression unreadable. These are serious allegations, he said. Maya's chest tightened, but she met his gaze without flinching. Ethan hissed under his breath, this isn't over. Maya whispered, it's already begun. The silence in the courtroom grew heavy, broken only by the judge's pen scratching notes. Margaret rested a hand on Maya's shoulder, whispering, you did it. Now let me finish the fight. For the first time, Ethan looked cornered. The cross-examination cut deep, and Ethan Cole's lawyer asked, didn't you miss rent last month? Maya Brooks inhaled sharply, answering, yes, but my child has never gone without food or safety. Ethan smirked, whispering to himself. Margaret Lee leaned in, stay calm. Maya continued, voice firm, I work 2 jobs. I sacrifice every hour for Noah. Ethan's lawyer pressed, and your brother, Daniel Brooks, a criminal record, isn't that right? Daniel stiffened in the gallery, shame shadowing his face. Maya said, Daniel's past is his own. He's here now, helping, and that matters. The judge studied her, weighing her words. Ethan leaned forward, venom in his tone, she's unfit. Maya turned her gaze on him, fierce. I may be tired, I may be broke, but I am the only one who has always stayed. The words rippled through the room, undeniable in their truth. The gallery buzzed as Daniel Brooks stood suddenly, voice breaking. Enough! The judge's gavel slammed. Sit down or be removed. Daniel's voice shook. I failed my family once, but Ethan's lies will destroy them again. Maya gasped. Daniel, stop. Ethan's lawyer sneered. See? Criminal blood runs deep. Daniel's eyes burned. You don't know what I've seen. Margaret Lee stepped in quickly. Your Honor, allow his statement as supporting testimony. The judge narrowed his eyes but nodded. Daniel steadied, voice raw. I watched Ethan bribe and manipulate. I stayed silent too long. Not anymore. Maya's chest filled with fire, tears stinging. Ethan's face hardened, panic flashing in his smirk. The judge scribbled notes, silence falling again. Maya whispered, this could change everything. Noah peeked from the counselor's side, eyes wide with hope. For the first time, the courtroom felt like it belonged to truth. The closing arguments echoed like thunder, and Margaret Lee said, this is not about wealth or power. This is about love, safety, and truth. Ethan Cole's lawyer sneered, my client offers stability. Maya Brooks stood, voice raw. Stability isn't money. Stability is presence, sacrifice, and love. The judge's eyes lifted, catching hers. Silence fell like a curtain. Ethan leaned back, jaw clenched, the mask cracking. Daniel Brooks gripped the railing, whispering, come on. Noah Brooks' gaze found his mother's, and he whispered, I believe you. Tears pricked her eyes, but her spine straightened. I will not let my child grow up in fear, Maya declared. The judge's gavel slammed. Decision will be rendered tomorrow. The words vibrated like a cliff edge. Maya exhaled, clutching Noah's small hand, whispering, we're almost there. The storm had peaked, but the dawn was waiting. The courtroom was silent as the judge returned, papers in hand. Maya Brooks whispered, whatever happens, we stand. Ethan Cole sat stiff, his confidence cracked, fingers drumming nervously. Margaret Lee leaned close, whispering, breathe. Daniel Brooks gripped the gallery railing, eyes wet. Noah Brooks sat beside the counselor, small hands folded, gaze fixed on his mother. The judge's voice was steady. Custody is granted to Maya Brooks. The words slammed through the air like thunder and Maya gasped, tears rising. Ethan's lawyer stammered, Your Honor, but the gavel cut him short. Ethan whispered, this isn't the end, but his voice shook. Maya whispered back, it's the end of your control. Noah leapt into her arms, whispering, we did it. Maya's tears spilled freely, soaking his hair. Daniel exhaled. A weight decades old lifted. Margaret smiled softly, whispering, you won, Maya. And for the first time she believed it. The courthouse steps were slick with rain, and Maya Brooks whispered, freedom feels heavier than chains. Reporters swarmed, microphones thrust forward, questions flying. Margaret Lee raised her hand, no comments. Daniel Brooks stood at Maya's side, silent protector. Ethan Cole descended the stairs opposite, flanked by his lawyer, mask of fury poorly hiding defeat. He won't stop, Maya muttered. Daniel whispered, then neither will we. Noah Brooks tugged her sleeve, whispering, can we go home? Maya knelt, brushing his hair back. Yes, astronaut, we're going home. The flash of cameras blinded for a moment, but she held Noah close. Margaret guided them through the crowd, her voice steady, keep moving. Rain slicked the marble, reflecting red and blue lights of nearby police cars. Maya whispered, we survived. And though the world shouted around her, inside she felt a stillness that hadn't lived there in years. The apartment was quiet, shadows soft with the glow of a single lamp. Maya Brooks whispered, we're home. Noah Brooks dropped his backpack, racing to his toy rocket. He grinned, mission complete. Maya laughed through tears, voice cracking, Yes, astronaut, mission complete. Daniel Brooks lingered at the door, unsure. I'll leave you too, he said softly. Maya turned, voice gentler than she expected. You don't have to run anymore. His eyes widened, then softened, but he nodded, stepping back into the shadows. Alone again, Maya sank onto the couch, exhaustion rolling over her. Noah climbed onto her lap, whispering, "We're safe now, right?" She kissed his hair. "We're safe." The radiator hummed, rain fading to mist outside the window. For the first time, safety felt real, not borrowed. Maya closed her eyes, clutching Noah, whispering, "Nothing will take you from me." Morning broke pale and golden, and Maya Brooks whispered, "A new day." She brewed coffee, the scent filling the apartment like hope. Noah Brooks padded in, hair messy, rocket clutched still. "Can we go to the park?" he asked. Maya smiled. "Yes, today we celebrate." Outside the streets were damp, shining like silver under early sunlight. Daniel Brooks sat on a bench nearby, distant but present, guarding in silence. At the park, Noah soared on the swings, shouting, "Higher!" Maya laughed, pushing him, her voice lighter than it had been in years. Ethan Cole's shadow lingered in memory, but it no longer defined her. She whispered, "We are stronger than what broke us." Noah's laughter rose, pure and unshaken, filling the morning air. Maya stood taller, shoulders no longer hunched, and for the first time she saw herself not as broken, but as whole. Night returned, but this time peace came with it. The apartment hummed with quiet safety. Maya Brooks stood at Noah's door, her hand resting gently on the frame. She whispered, "We will be okay." Inside, Noah Brooks slept soundly, toy rocket clutched close, dreams untroubled. Maya turned to the window, city lights glowing like stars scattered across the horizon. Her reflection stared back, no longer fractured but whole. She whispered, "We're stronger now." She sat beside her child, brushing hair from his forehead, a smile breaking. Not the practiced mask she had worn, but real and unguarded. "We'll never stop fighting," she vowed, her voice soft but unshakable. Outside, the city pulsed, relentless as always. But inside this small apartment there was victory, love, and the promise of a future untethered from fear. For the first time, Maya's story was not survival, it was strength.